If you're like me, you might understandably be quite apprehensive about AI and how it's going to affect your job, your career in the future, and probably those of your kids, loved ones, whatever, and you're probably worried about it. There's probably going to be a lot of questions going through your mind. How's this going to actually play out? What's going to happen in 2026 and 2027? How's it going to impact my job? How's it going to impact whether I can pay my bills or not? What are these people in charge of these big AI companies and governments really planning to do? And in this video, I'm going to try and answer those questions. I've been in business for over a decade. I've managed hundreds and hundreds of people. I've been, not to blow my own trumpet, but pretty successful at doing it. And I'd like to think I've got a very good understanding of how business people work because I am a business person. I prefer to be quite ethical in the way that I operate a business, and I prefer to be quite straight with people and honest about it, whether it's good or bad. But I don't necessarily feel from my own experience that a lot of business people are necessarily like that. Not everyone, but I do feel quite concerned about people in very large corporates that are making decisions on AI that can change the entire landscape of everything us as human beings have known, feel comfortable with, and they have an awful lot of power to do so. And I've got some predictions about how I think this is going to play out over time. And in this video, what I want to do is give you a very honest, very real rundown of what I think is going to be happening. And I'll be interested to see how accurate I am in a few years' time watching this video back. If you like this video, do give us a thumbs up, a like for it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and want to see more content like that, do subscribe, and let's jump into this video. So first of all, let's start with the immediate future. In 2026 and in 2027, the next couple of years, there is going to be a notable change in the way that things are done. What we've become used to is our understanding of AI and automation. We haven't seen anything yet. The reality with things like ChatGPT, that's what we're seeing of AI. That's just scratching the surface though. In 2026 and 2027, what we're going to see is the first wave of jobs being replaced. It's going to be some form of technology or some company that comes along with a product. And this product itself will be initially seen as groundbreaking, positive. You might see advertising for it. You might see a lot of people in influential positions talk about how wonderful it is and how many opportunities and how many jobs it can create. And it'll be very much presented in a positive spin. You won't have negative media about it. And any negative media about it will be suppressed. You won't see much of it. You might see the odd YouTube video of someone trying to be controversial, but nobody will take any notice of that. The masses will listen to the general narrative, which will be very well funded, very well published, and very much put in an influential position. And this kind of product, what it will do is it will start to replace and replicate the jobs that are single task jobs that are repetitive. So you might have seen some of this already. This will be things like customer service based jobs. It might be jobs which are going to be data entry. These will be jobs that typically can be replicated continuously. And what will happen is the initial experiences of this and the power of AI will see it being very, very effective at what you want to do. At the moment, if you go onto a customer service chatbot, for example, in the nicest way, they're fairly basic. They're based on a minimal data set, and most people don't really get the answers that they want. Kind of frustrating. You just want to talk to a human being. But imagine if the human being you're speaking to does have the answers, can deal with it very quickly, and can get you what you want like that. But it'll all be done as if it's some very organized supervisor. So when you say, I want to speak to the supervisor, they're going to bring out some form of product in the next couple of years that will be that supervisor. And it'll be bigger corporate companies that will go into this kind of stuff. They'll be the ones that are going to drive the change on this first because they've got the money, but it's also going to save them a lot of money. The big problem at the moment with AI that you won't necessarily see from the general public is it's extremely expensive. There's going to be a product or something that all of a sudden gets mass adoption, and the money that comes in from it, because it's so transformational, will pay for all of that. And that will be the first step. And you will see that over the next couple of years. At the back end of 2027 and in 2028, that's when I feel that the real big change is going to happen. And that's going to be when AGI comes into play. Now, AGI is artificial general intelligence. This is where it basically becomes self-aware. So if you've ever seen Terminator, where Skynet becomes self-aware within it starts to make decisions for itself, that's effectively what AGI is. Now, why would a tech company, an AI company, want to develop something that's going to become self-aware? Because it could end up like Skynet. Oh my God, there's going to be a nuclear war, disaster. That's not what they're working towards. This is how I think it's going to play out. AGI is the goal here. Because if you develop AI initially, where it's going to replicate single task types of jobs, you've got probably 2, 3, 4% of jobs that are going to be affected. The majority of jobs are jobs that are not going to be single task, repetitive type of jobs. They're going to require human cognitive ability, bits of training and skill set that are going to allow you to do multiple tasks. Whereas you might have a graduate or someone studying to do a particular job that might take 3, 4, 5 years to get good at it, if you have AGI come into play, you could train it in a matter of hours to be the best employee in the room in that particular role and just replicate it. And that's what they are working towards in the AI companies. This is the gold mine of what's going to get them ahead. That's what they're racing for. If you can launch a product and you beat the other AI companies to it, that comes in, that replaces all of the jobs of 30, 40, 50% of corporate workforces, companies that have 5,000, 10,000 employees, and all of a sudden you can lay off 3,000, 4,000 people pretty quickly with all their wages, and who aren't on minimum wage here. These are people maybe on 40, 50, 60 grand a year, and you can replace all those people with an AI fairly quickly within a 9-month period that can do their job better than they can. That's where the money is. And this whole theme of how I think this is going to play out is following the money. Again, it's not the tech people making the decisions, it's not the software guys, it's the CEOs, the executives, the people signing off the checks. They're going to decide where this goes, and there's a massive business case to go. If you're going to invest all this money in AI, where's the pot at the end of the rainbow? Where's the money in this? And it's in basically having products that can replace the majority of workers, because corporations are going to pay through the nose to be able to do this. And all the money from corporations isn't in their bank account, it's from shareholders. And shareholders will see the share price go up if they invest in this kind of stuff. Whoever gets that product is going to make crazy amounts of money, have mass power, and that's what they're going for. So how would this affect you if you happen to be one of those people that work at one of those corporates, happen to be one of those jobs that could be replaced 30, 40, 50% of the workforce, and you're worried about job security? Or you're in a smaller business that looks at it and thinks, well, I don't have the money of a corporate, how can I replace that? How's this going to play out? Well, what's going to happen is if you are one of the people that works for one of those corporates in one of those roles, the only way you're going to be able to keep your job is if you have a certain type of skill set which is valuable and necessary to that business, but is niche. And the reason why niche is going to be the safety net for what you need to protect against AI is because if we're talking about following the money and developing, which means basically developing products which are going to have the money behind it, an AI company is not going to bother developing a product unless it has a mass audience of uptake. If you're developing a product which is going to have a tiny fraction of the market, really niche within it, where's the money in that? You're not going to bother trying to do that. What you'll try to do is develop products which are going to have mass uptake. Companies are not going to be that worried about paying through the nose to buy a product for that if it's not going to save them that money. They'll rather have someone internally who knows how to do that job, and they'll look after them. It'll be easier. There won't be a business case for it. There won't be a business case for an AI company to develop a product for niche purposes. So if you have a niche skill set, either it's part of your job that you do, which isn't a major part of it, you might find yourself being wise to double down on being really good at that niche that not many people, not many of your colleagues know how to do. That is valuable to the business because that's what's going to protect your job. And when it comes to layoffs, they'll want to keep people with those niches because it presents a value to them. Likewise, if you're a small company, you will not be able to compete with corporates if they can replace jobs. If you're in direct competition with a corporate doing the same thing that you do, and they are able to bring in an AI that can do it 24/7, that doesn't need sleep, doesn't need breaks, and can be better than all of your employees on its own, you're going to get swallowed up. But if you're a small company that offers a niche service or product that a large corporate doesn't really do, there isn't a mass market for it, but there is a market for it, then you're safe. Come 2029, 2030, is you will find half the workforce, I don't know exact percentages, but roughly half the workforce being AI, and the other half of the workforce being people that have niche skill sets that do not have a business case for AI companies to bother trying to develop individual products for all those niche skill sets. That's how the working world will develop. And what you'll find is the jobs that it will create are a bunch of things that will be the niche skill sets that will become more in demand because AI won't bother doing those, that people have a need for. And there'll still be taxes that need to be paid. There'll still need to be people at the end of the rainbow that have the money to be able to pay for all of the AI products and be able to pay for the service needs that the corporates provide. So you'll still need a proportion of workers to be able to do that. Protect yourself, get a niche. If you don't know a niche at the moment, probably start having a look at things that are in demand that not many people know how to do, that probably are a little bit, multiple skill kind of things that an AI company probably is unlikely to want to be developing a product because the niche demand is too niche to warrant the investment required off of it. That's how I think things are going to play out. If you like this video, do give us a like. If you have any other ideas on what you think is going to happen with AI, how this is going to play out, any comments on my theories or my thinking on it, stick them in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't seen this before, and we'll see you for the next one.